All right, welcome back my friends. Today I'm going to show you the easiest way to make Oleo Saccharum, and then we're going to use it to make a delicious wintry cocktail called a hot coffee toddy. Let's make some coffee cocktails. Welcome back to the Coffee Cocktail channel. I'm Dan Fellows, and today for the Oleo Saccharum, we're going to need a selection of citrus fruit, which can be your choice of citrus fruits. I'm going for lemon, orange and grapefruit. Golden castor sugar, which again can be any sugar of your choice. A lot will work and we'll talk more about that later. And then we're going to need some tools. Going to need a good peeler, something to stir with, a big old bowl and some scales. So the first question to answer is, what is Oleo Saccharum? So essentially we're using sugar to pull the oil from citrus peels. Then we're going to bring this down into a syrup which has all the flavour of the citrus fruit without any of the bright acidity. So we want to go 50 grams each of orange peel, which will bring some kind of nice sweetness in there, as well as some acidity. So when we're peeling the orange, you want to make sure you're not taking too much of the pith. The peeler does a pretty good job of this. And it's going to be around about 2 oranges worth of peel. So now that's in there, you want to go 50 grams of grapefruit peel, but this principle applies to whatever citrus fruit you choose. You can just do grapefruit, you can just do lemon, you can just do orange, you can also do things like blood orange, but whatever citrus you choose will impact the flavour profile of your Oleo Saccharum. So 50 grams of grapefruit peel is around about 2 grapefruits worth, and then we're going to go 50 grams of lemon peel. And the key here is that we want to do equal parts of citrus to the sugar, which we'll add in a second. So now we've got 150 grams of our citrus peels, which can be comprised of any citrus fruit. You want to add the same amount again of golden castor sugar. So another 150 grams. And this recipe is super simple. It's a 2 to 2 to 1 ratio of citrus peel to sugar to water. So what we're going to do is add this sugar, which is golden castor sugar, but you can use castor sugar, you can use muscovado sugar, you can even use a darker sugar like a molasses or a dark muscovado sugar. But as long as you have equal parts peel and sugar, this will work really nicely. So now that's covered the citrus peels, you want to give it a good stir to mix. And this will start working pretty quickly. So you can see in there, the sugar all starts sticking to the citrus peels. And then once this is fully mixed, you just want to cover it over using a plate. Leave that to one side for around about 24 hours. And you'll be left with this beautiful sticky syrup, which has pulled all the oils from the citrus peels. Smells amazing. Just makes me want to make cocktails, which is what we're going to do. And then to this, we're going to add 1 part of water. So 2 to 2 to 1. 150, 150. We want to add 75 grams of hot water. So now I'm going to add 75 grams of boiling water just to loosen up the sugar and kind of wash those peels. We can give this, again, a really good mix together. Just make sure any last sugar is fully dissolved, although the oils in the citrus fruit do a really good job of kind of turning our sugar into a liquid in itself. And then, now that's fully mixed together, you want to pass this through a fine sieve and bottle it up, ready for making a cocktail. And when you've done that, you'll be left with beautiful Oleo Saccharum. So to recap the recipe, we've got 150 grams of citrus peels, 150 grams of sugar of your choice. Leave that to macerate for around about 24 to 36 hours. Add 75 grams of boiling water, mix it all together, put it through a sieve, whack it in a bottle, Oleo Saccharum. So this is a really delicious citrus forward sugar syrup, but the nice thing about this is it doesn't have bright acidity, it just has the flavour of the citrus fruits. So you can add citrus to this, which we're going to do later in the cocktail, but this is a really good base for a huge range of cocktails, particularly when you pair it with coffee, where you don't want the brightness of the citrus fruits, but you get all that lovely flavour. So now we're going to use this to make the hot coffee toddy. Okay, so the hot coffee toddy. This is probably the ultimate drink I would want to drink if I were cold, if I were feeling a little bit run down, and I wanted a coffee cocktail to kind of warm my cockles. So things are getting a bit cooler, and this is going to be perfect for that. And it also really heroes the Oleo Saccharum with some other stuff to take it to the next level. So we're going to be using whiskey. I like Glenfiddich Fire and Cane, which has got a nice level of peatiness, but also some sweetness from the barrel aging. We've got the Oleo Saccharum, And then over here we've got some little sprinkles, some seasonings, which I'm going to talk about. So the first thing we want to do is brew a strong filter coffee or an AeroPress. So this is really important because you want to get plenty of coffee flavour in the drink. So this is a hot drink, so really importantly, we need to make sure we preheat pretty much everything. So this is going to be the vessel we're going to brew our AeroPress into. Get that nice and warm. I'm also going to preheat this little bowl, which has our serving glass in. And now everything's preheated, we can start brewing our AeroPress. So I'm going for a 1:10 ratio of coffee to water, which is much stronger than you'd normally brew. But as I've said before, optimal brewing for cocktails versus optimal brewing for drinking aren't necessarily the same thing. So I've gone intentionally strong, intentionally intense, because these are big flavors we're putting up next to. So you want to brew nice and strong. And we're going to extract this for about 3 to 3.5 minutes, which again is quite a high extraction for an AeroPress in terms of time, but this is strategic. We want to balance everything out with the other ingredients. So we want plenty of coffee intensity, plenty of extraction. I'm going to use the metal filter for the AeroPress to get a little bit more body. So 12 grams of coffee, going to give it a little bloom with just enough to kind of wet the bed, so to speak. Get that mixed together. We're going to top up to 120 grams of water. This is basically boiling water. Again, to kind of emphasize that extraction. Going to give this a little cap. Give it a swirl to make sure all the coffee is fully mixed. And then we're going to set this aside. And as this extracts, I'm going to quickly make the cocktail. So we're up against the clock. First of all, put your glass on your scales so you can see the things down the line. We're going to go 30 mils of our whiskey. As I said, I'm going for a somewhat peaty whiskey because I think it works really well here, but choose a whiskey of your tolerance. If you like peaty whiskey, go for something like this or something like a Lafroig. If you hate peaty whiskey, maybe give it a try, but you can also blend whiskies, so you could have a little bit of peat and something quite sweet, or just no peat at all, completely up to you. We're going to go 20 mils of our Oleo Saccharum, which sounds quite a lot, but we're actually going to balance this out. So we get all the character from the Oleo Saccharum, with the citrus fruit kind of tying in with the whiskey really nicely and the coffee. And then what we're going to do is pretty cool. So this is a bit of a teaser into the next episode, which you'll have to stay tuned for, and I'll link that at the end of the video. But essentially we're going to take this, which is already a delicious foundation, great coffee, great whiskey, a little bit of sweetness from the Oleo Saccharum and all that citrus flavor. And we're just going to add some really subtle seasonings to pop it and take it to the next level. So the first thing I'm going to add is to add a little bit of acidity to the drink. So the Oleo Saccharum has all the sweetness of citrus, but none of the real kind of brightness and acidity. So we're just going to add 1 gram of a 6% acid solution. So this is made with 4 grams of citric acid, 2 grams of malic acid, and then I top this up to 100 grams with boiling water, mix it together, and you get this kind of acid blend. So there's our acidity taken care of. We're going to add 3 dashes of orange bitters from Scrappy's Bitters. Again, doesn't have the juice of the citrus, but it has some of the kind of bitter elements which will complement the other ingredients. As I always do, I'm going to add an element of salt to the drink, a very interesting seasoning, which we'll talk more about in the future video. And I'm going to go 1 gram of this. This is actually a smoked salt saline, so using smoked sea salt. Again, really ties in well with the whiskey particularly. Smoke, peat, kind of sweetness from the citrus, delicious. And then we're going to go 0.3 grams of vanilla extract. So this won't bring a flavour of vanilla as such, but it'll just tie everything together really nicely. And now this is built, we're ready to press our AeroPress. So I'm just going to push this through. And this should give us around about 100 grams of coffee. Add it all in. 106, pretty much bang on. Remove it from our bowl. Give it just a little wipe to make sure it's nice and dry. So the first garnish is a flamed orange peel, which again brings kind of the thoughts of citrus fruit without the direct flavour. That went pretty well. Gonna rim the glass and we can actually drop this in there. And then my secret weapon, to really enhance the aroma, a spritz of peaty whiskey. So between each sip, you want to give it just a little spritz. And in here, we've got coffee, going for a kind of chocolatey orange flavor profile, brewed very strong and high intensity. We've got whiskey with some peatiness, 30 mils, 20 mils of Oleo Saccharum, 1 gram of our acid blend, 3 dashes of orange bitters, 1 gram of smoked saline, and 0.3 grams of vanilla extract. Add the coffee in there, around about 100 grams, garnish with a flamed orange zest and a spritz of peaty whiskey. And there we have the hot coffee toddy, featuring beautiful, consistent Oleo Saccharum. Cheers. It's all there, citrus fruit, smoke, spice, peatiness from the whiskey. This is a very tasty drink. So play around with the Oleo Saccharum. It can be used in a huge range of cocktails. Let me know what you do with it and give this a go. The hot coffee toddy is a delicious drink. So hopefully you found value in this. Make sure you subscribe to the channel for more coffee cocktail recipes. Follow me on Instagram at danfellows1. All the good stuff. Click that like button if you enjoyed this and if you found value. And if you want to click here, you can subscribe to the channel. If you want to see how I've adapted this technique to other Saccharum recipes, you can click here. And then the secret weapon, the seasonings and balancings, I'm going to talk in much more detail about this in the future video, which when it is ready will be here. So make sure you watch that. It's a real good deep dive and hopefully see you soon. Thank you very much for watching. Cheers.